All right, so this is part two of the Legends of Early Rome. That gets back to the idea with Ovid that using a piece of literature as a source is problematic. These authors altered the myths for effect. Some of the stories have a tone that's playful and ironic. Some of them also made fun of anthropomorphic nature of gods as silly, unworkable concept. How could sophisticated people believe anything that's unbelievable? Ovid made some of the myths up himself. For instance, Paramus and Thisbe. He's credited as saying the gods are useful. In other words, he used them in his stories as needed. Despite all of that, Ovid's Metamorphoses had tremendous influence on later literature. So I have a question for you to ponder. If the myths no longer represent a belief system, does that mean they aren't myths? You're going to have to answer that for yourself based on everything that we've covered this semester. So the history continues beyond. In the 4th century AD, Constantine Christianized Rome, and the gods were gone. In the Middle Ages, we had hand copying of the works of Ovid, Virgil, and Livy in convents and monasteries. Cathedral schools and libraries used the stories for moral instruction of the youth. Metamorphosis was used as a collection of Christian allegories. For instance, Daphne represented the Virgin Mary, and Phaeton represented the soul's flight towards God. Later in England, in 1480, William Caxton translated Ovid plus some moral commentary into English. These myths became more accessible to people. There was another translation by Golding in 1567. During the Renaissance, the myths had a major influence on Shakespeare. He used them anytime he needed to make a comparison. Modern authors still use the characters, plots, and comparisons in modern literature as allusions. You will find that myths still embody our values, beliefs, and fears. Our myths today are represented in books, television, films, and other expressions of art. We have stories about aliens in outer space, science fiction. We have stories dealing with far-lying reaches where no one knows what there is there, the unknown. We have heroes in the future who save the world from a pessimistic apocalypse. Our stories are full of familiar archetypes that go all the way back to classical myth, and we have covered some 3,000 years in a mere 15 weeks.